Today, I'm going back to where it all started, where I first started smoking on an electric smoker. And I'm gonna be taking some baby back ribs, coating them with my brown sugar pepper rub. We're gonna give them a great sauce. We're gonna have some terrific ribs at the end of the day. So my brown sugar pepper rub has brown sugar, pepper, as you'd imagine, and a couple other things in there. So let's get started. We are starting with a cup of brown sugar. To this, we're adding 3 tablespoons of ground black pepper. Now you could use cracked black pepper here, but you're gonna keep those larger pieces intact on the surface of the ribs, and sometimes that can be a little bit much for people when they're eating it. So a good coarse ground black pepper works well here. We're gonna use 2 tablespoons of smoked paprika, and if you don't have smoked paprika, regular paprika is fine. 1 tablespoon of granulated garlic, and 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. And I kind of mix this all together here. Now I've used this rub on ribs before. I did a video, I think it was called my brown sugar pepper ribs. It's a really good rub. I know people who've made it and love it. You might think it's just too peppery, but no, that's part of the wonderful thing with this is that pepperiness with the sweetness. And if you have a great sauce on your ribs, if you like to sauce your ribs, you don't have to, but if you like to sauce your ribs like I do, works really well with that. All right, that looks good. Well, let's move on to our ribs. So I have 2 racks of baby back ribs here, and in the electric smoker, at least in the model that I have, and I've had 2 different ones. I've had a Masterbuilt and a Charbroil. The Charbroil is one I'm using now. The racks aren't quite long enough for full racks of ribs. You could even angle it and it's pretty tight. So when I do ribs in there, I cut them into half racks. Now I've already gone ahead and removed the membrane from the back. I'll put a link to a video that I did on how to remove the membrane. Super simple if you've never done it, and it's just kind of boring to keep showing each time, so I'll link the video. Let's see, well, let's go right about, here on this rack. They're roughly half. They're not going to be exactly half. And let's go right about here. So we're going to go ahead, and these are all going to get the same rub, but when it comes time to sauce them, there's going to be 2 different sauces. One is going to be milder and one's going to be a little bit hotter. They're both from Mad Moose BBQ. Matt from Mad Moose BBQ sent those to me, and I've had the first one on ribs. They're great. The second one I tasted, and it's a little bit spicy, but it is so good. It's a bourbon peach habanero barbecue sauce. Nice kick, nice sweetness. I think it's gonna go great on these, but I have some people who don't like that much spice, so we're gonna use the regular Mad Moose barbecue sauce on 1 rack. And I'll put a link to Matt's website down below, and he gave me a coupon code that if you wanna get any of his barbecue sauces or rubs, if you use the code CWR20, CWR20, Cooking with Rye 20, he'll give you 20% off your order. I don't get anything from that. He was just nice enough to do that after sending me that bottle of sauce. So check him out. It's really good sauce, really good rubs. So I'm just gonna go ahead here and start getting rub on. Get a really good coating on here. Electric smoker is a little bit different than using, an offset or pit barrel cooker, your kettle, anything like that. Your heating is coming from an electric heating element, and the smoke is coming from wood chips. And today we're going to be using a mix of hickory and pecan. I find that it can be a little bit drier in there, so I have a pretty good amount of water in a separate water pan. I'm not just using the included water pan today. So I want to make sure there's plenty of moisture in that chamber. And I probably will wrap the ribs when it comes time to do that out there, but we'll see. I may call an audible and decide, no, they're doing good. I always have a lot of people say, why don't you just put your rubs in a shaker? Well, sometimes I do, but the brown sugar ones I find just tend to kind of clump up and clog the shaker, especially when they're homemade. If you get a commercial one, usually there's something in there that helps it keep from caking, but this is a fresh rub, so I'm just spooning it, spreading it around. So yeah, I know there's a lot of extra that ends up on the board, but it happens. All right, I'm gonna get these on their racks, and then we are gonna take them out to the smoker, start cooking up some ribs. This is smelling good already with that hickory and pecan. All right, let's get it closed up and get smoking. So I'm smoking these today at 225 to 250. I want to try and keep in that range. Don't want to go too high, but the electric smoker's pretty easy to keep in a range of temperature. I'll check these in about 2 hours, see how they're doing tenderness-wise and if we need to spritz them at all. And at that point, I'll probably make the decision whether I want to wrap them or not. And around that 2 hour mark, we may be saucing. So I'll bring you back, but it's time to check these ribs. All right, our baby backs have been going for 2 hours in the electric smoker. Let's see how they're doing. Ah, those are looking good. Now I just want to do a quick little flex test here on half racks. That's a little more difficult. You are getting some flex there. Pretty good for a half rack, actually. Let me turn this so you can see a little bit. We're just starting to get some of that meat pull back from the bone, not a lot. Let's check this lower rack here. Oh yeah. We got pretty good flex for half racks. So the decision I'm making is no wrap, and we're gonna sauce right now. So as I mentioned, I'm using two different barbecue sauces. One that's hotter, one that's cooler, both by Mad Moose BBQ. So the upper rack I'm gonna do first, and that's with the not hot sauce. So if any drips down, it's just gonna get on the hot ones. And again, if you don't like sauce on your ribs, don't sauce them. We like sauce on our ribs. This is that bourbon peach habanero barbecue sauce. All right, these are looking good. Let's get this closed up, get them smoking again, and we'll check them in about an hour, and I think they will be done then. So I'll see you back here in about an hour. All right, we've been going for 3 hours now. I have a feeling these are done. 3 hours is pretty short for baby backs, but these were small racks. These were barely over 2 pounds each. I usually see something closer to the 4 hour range, but let's double check, and we're gonna do a probe test for tenderness. Really nice color on these. I'm liking these. Oh yeah. Now, these will not be fall off the bone. I don't like my ribs fall off the bone. I like there to be a bite to them. If you like fall off the bone, I would take these probably another half hour, 45 minutes at this weight if these are small racks. But these are ready. Gonna get these inside, let them rest for just 5 or 10 minutes to cool down a bit, and then we're gonna have a taste. All right, here is our rack of ribs cut in half, and this is the one with the bourbon peach habanero barbecue sauce. Now I usually only cut like maybe 1 or 2 ribs off, but I'm gonna go ahead and cut this entire rack up today. So let's get to that. Let's start at the end here. I'm tipping them on the end just so I can get right between the bones. Oh, those look good. Let's take a look. Oh, look at that. Nice and juicy. Now on the electric, you might notice there's really not much of a smoke ring. I mean, super minimal. It's almost, you can't see it. And on the electric smoker, that's generally what I find. Smoke ring really comes from combustion gases, and you're getting more combustion gases when you're actually burning something for fuel. The electric smoker creates its heat with an electric element. The smoke comes from the wood chip. So you're really not going to get as defined a smoke ring on the electric, but you will get great surface smoke flavor. Go ahead and cut the rest of these up. Our rack of baby backs all cut up. It's time to taste. Now before I bite in, I actually made a mistake earlier. I said Matt over at Mad Moose BBQ. It's Zach over at Mad Moose BBQ. So Zach, my apologies, and Matt, if you're there, my apologies too. And as I mentioned before, Zach at Mad Moose BBQ has the coupon code CWR20. So if you want to order anything, and I'll put the link to his website in the video description below. You'll get 20% off your order. Let's see how this bourbon peach habanero sauce tastes on these ribs with my brown sugar pepper rub. Let's see. That is really good, and I gotta tell you, there's heat there, but the first taste I'm getting is peach, which is really nice with this. And let me reiterate, definite heat, but it's not overpowering. If you don't like spice, like any spice, this is gonna be too hot for you. But if you like enough that you know it's there, but it doesn't overpower the flavor of the rub or the rest of the components of the sauce, like that peach, oh, really good. And again, this is how I like it, with a little bit of a bite, not fall off the bone. As I mentioned out at the smoker, if you want it fall off the bone, you're gonna wanna go another 30, 45 minutes on this size of baby back racks. But for me, this is just right. So that was my trip down memory lane back to where I started smoking with the electric smoker that I still use when I wanna cook something outside, not use the oven inside, because it's just like an outdoor oven with some great smoke flavor added, hickory and pecan on here. Everything works together. Some of the easiest and tastiest ribs you can make.